All right, so today's lesson is 7.5, Adding Fractions, Part 1. And in today's lesson, you are going to be working on adding fractions using pattern blocks. So let's do a quick warm-up here. If the hexagon pattern block is the whole, what fractions are represented by the trapezoid, the rhombus, and the triangle? So the triangle is what fraction of this hexagon? Okay, so it'd be written in a fraction form. So right now that should be prompting you to answer the question, what is the fraction of the rhombus, the triangle, and the trapezoid if this hexagon is whole? This is related to what we did yesterday, so this is kind of telling me whether or not you can remember the lesson from yesterday. So right now you're going to stop the video, you're going to complete the question, and then when you have completed the question, then you will move forward. So let's review. If the hexagon pattern block is whole, what fractions are represented with the trapezoid, the rhombus, and the triangle? Well, remembering that if the hexagon is the whole number, then the triangle is 1/6 of the whole hexagon. Okay, the trapezoid would be represented as 1/2, and the rhombus will be represented as 1/3. Okay, so that's what we did yesterday. So we learned that the rhombus is 1/3 of the hexagon. So if we moved our rhombus over, we would be able to fit 3 of them in there. Okay, we also learned that the trapezoid could fit 2 of them in the hexagon, and the triangle could fit 6 of them within the hexagon. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take these shapes that we have been working with for the past 2 days, and we're going to start using them to help us understand how to add fractions. Okay, so let's go through the first ones together. So how this is going to work is there's going to be an example problem where I'm going to give you the answer, and then there's going to be some sample problems where I'll walk you through, but I'm not going to give you the answer, and you're going to actually have to put the answer in the question form. Okay, so it's going to prompt you to answer the question. We're going to try this out. Instead of having you do a Google form for this one, you're actually going to answer the questions that are in the video. So the first one is 1/6 plus 1/6. So we're working on adding these fractions. Okay, so if I have my triangle 1/6 and another 1/6, how many 6 do I have? Well, 1/6 plus 1/6 would be 2/6. Okay. When you're working with adding fractions, well, this one is relatively simple because you have the same denominator. Okay, the numerator is the only that's different. The denominator, which is on the bottom, is the same. So that would stay the same all the way through, and then you're going to add the 1 plus the 1, which is going to give you 2 for 2/6. All right, now I'd like you to give it a try on the Google Forms, or on the question box that's going to pop up. So 2/6 plus 1/6 equals, go ahead and fill out the answer. So you have 2 triangles, 2/6, plus 1 more. How many 6 do you have? Okay, so write it in fraction format, just like if you looked at the previous one. We wrote 2/6 in fraction form. You're going to do the same for the answer for this problem. Okay, next you're going to be adding thirds. So what would be 1/3 plus 1/3? Go ahead and fill that in on the question box. Next, we are going to start working with whole numbers. Okay, so if I have 1 1/6 plus 3/6, 3 triangles, what would that equal? Okay, well, I'm going to move my triangle over so I can show you how I would visualize it. So I have my whole number, which is going to stay a whole number, but I want to add these fractions together. So my answer would be 1 and 1, 2, 3, 4 sixths. And it would look like, if I wrote it out, my answer would be 1 and 4 sixths. Just like that. Okay, so my answer would be 1 and 4 sixths. So give it a try with this one. I have 1/3, 1 and 1/3 plus 2/3. All right, so if I move this 2/3 and I make it so that it is connected, now what would my answer be? 1 and 1/3 plus 1/3. Remembering that you're just adding the fractions. So it's pretty much, this one is going to stay the same. You're going to add the 2 1/3s up. So 1/3 plus 1/3, which would equal, and put your answer right in the answer box. And then finally, we're going to do one where we're going to have to add 2 whole numbers. Oops, excuse me. My computer is freaking out a little bit. You're going to add 2 whole numbers and then the fractions. And if you notice, these fractions actually have different denominators. Something a little different. So we have 2 whole numbers. We have 1 plus 1, so that's going to be 2. Now we need to figure out what our fractions will be. Well, I'm going to move this 1/6 triangle over. And I'm going to kind of make it so that it fits just right in my shape. Okay, it's not going to be perfect, but do the best I can. All right, so there you have it. And I've noticed that my 1/3 pieces are very similar to having 2 triangles. So I'm actually going to divide these. I'm going to divide them up so that I have, instead of having third pieces, I'm going to make those into 6th pieces, which I think is kind of cool. It's going to work out pretty neat. So if I make those third pieces into 6 pieces, how many 6s do I now have? Well, I have 1 triangle, 2 triangle, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 6s. So my answer for this problem would be 2, because I have my 2 whole numbers, my whole hexagons, and 5 6ths. That 5 6ths came from, I have the 5 triangle pieces, which are all equal 1/6. And we'll go through adding mixed numbers a little bit more, but I just want to give you kind of a sneak preview of it. So this completes today's lesson. You've already answered your questions, so you can go ahead and do some practicing with the fraction games, working on adding fractions today.